Hello there, and thank you for joining me today with your MangoVoice tutorial. My name is Tyler, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be doing a full onboarding, which is the complete setup of the Office for your phone system. Now, we're going to go ahead and do kind of a basic one here in this video. We're going to keep the more advanced stuff to a different video. So the first thing I kind of want to show you here is these navigation tabs on the left-hand side of the screen. Those are what you'll use to navigate our website. Now, the reason I'm pointing out all of these to you is because we have a little arrow button in the top right-hand corner right there, as you can see, that says hide or show the navigation bars. Since it's not immediately obvious what that button does, I just wanted to point that out to you. If you click it, it's going to hide those buttons. Now, this is the primary reason I wanted to show you. Because if you log out while those tabs are not being shown, then the next time someone logs in, they won't be there. And if you don't know that that button's there, you won't know how to bring those back. So all you gotta do is click on that button and they're gonna come right back. Now the first tab I wanna show you is our My Profile tab right here. When you click on that, it's gonna open up a small window. Regardless of what other tab you're in, the window will just pop up right at the front of it. It's going to give you the first and last name of the user that you are logged in as. As you can see, we are logged in as Mango Tutorials up top. Our first and last name is Mango Tutorials. Now, this name doesn't truly matter. We do like to have this name match the name of the phone just to make things easier when we're setting everything up. Because a phone is going to need a username. Now, they don't need to match, but it is a lot easier for everybody if they do when making adjustments in the system. The username, that is the name that you are going to use to log in. When you go to log into our website, you'll need a username or an email address. If you're using a username, you can use that one right there. Of course, you can change this anytime simply by highlighting and typing in a new one. The email address is the same thing. You're going to be using this email address to log in. If it's typed in here, it's just for login. Now again, if you have one here already, you can change it anytime. Next is our password. Now, if you're looking to change your password, this field right here is where you're going to do that. You are going to need to confirm it in the field below. So if you want to change that password, just type in the new one and type it in again. And then we are going to require your current password for any changes that you make. Even if it's just a change to the first and last name or username, it will require your password here. Let's go ahead and add an email address here so I can show you what that's going to look like. Now we've got that email address in there, we are going to need our current password to confirm any changes. We'll click Update Profile, and right up here you can see it says Profile Successfully Updated. Now, if you're in the My Profile tab and you end up changing your password, it is going to automatically log you out and have you log in with that new password. Now, the next step I'd like to show you is the Faxing tab. In this tab, you're going to have the ability to send and receive your faxes. Right here, we have an example of both that have been completed. We have our sent faxes, which is going to tell you the date, time, the number that sent it, and the number it was sent to, and of course the direction showing you that it was sent. Our status is going to show that it was sent successful, and our status details are going to give us a 0 OK, meaning that there's no more details for us to get. We're going to have our attempts over here. Every fax sends at least one time. If a fax machine is busy receiving another fax, it will attempt to send that fax up to 3 times before eventually that call fails, and it'll tell you that it fails right here in our status menu if that's ever the case. That doesn't happen very often. If it does, you just got to click the resend button over here on the right hand side, and that is going to allow you to resend that fax. And if it fails again for some reason, give our team a call. We'll look into it to see if there is something else going on. Then, of course, you can remove a fax. By hitting the remove button, you're going to remove a fax that you have sent. You are unable to remove faxes that have been received if you couldn't tell from the grayed out button. Also, you can't resend a fax that you've received since you didn't send it. Again, all of the other information is going to be pretty much the same. Date, time, numbers involved, received, and then the status is going to be received all across the board. Now, for those received faxes, to view those in their full size, because this image isn't going to do you justice when you're trying to get the information you need, you can click on that image, and it's going to take you to a brand new tab to view that page in its full size. You can, of course, print and download from the top right-hand corner right here. You'll close that tab when you're done, and it's going to take you right back to your faxing tab here. Now, to send a fax, you're going to click on this new fax button, and that's going to open up our window right here. Your fax number is going to automatically default to this right here. If you have multiple numbers and you need to pick the correct one, you can click the drop-down menu to select from all of the numbers on the account. I only have the one number, so that's not something I have to worry about. Then I need to type in the number that we're faxing to. I'm going to go ahead and type in a fax number. Then I get to decide if I want to send myself an email or not. By clicking on this box right here, an email is going to be sent to this email address stating status delivered. That way I'll know via notification on my cell phone or my email address saying that that fax has been delivered and I know the recipient has received it. I don't have to worry about it. If I don't get that email, then that's something I should look into later. You don't have to send yourself the email if that's not something that you want to do. Then you're going to choose the file you want to upload by clicking in this box. Now, we do recommend that you send PDF files when faxing. It's going to give you the greatest quality. If you have an image you need to send, a JPEG file is going to be just fine. Now, if you're scanning in your own documents, we do recommend that you scan them in as a PDF file with the resolution settings set to 300 DPI. That stands for dots per inch. Now, it can be higher than that. The more dots you have per inch, the greater the resolution, but you don't want to go below that. The page setting is also going to want to be set to 8.5 by 11. That's your traditional page size. If you do scan it in larger than that, our fax will adjust it to fit on the page with that full size, shrinking the text because it needs to fit everything on there, and that can make the text illegible on the recipient's end. Same if the image is too small, it's going to stretch it out to fit on that page, making the text illegible on the other side. So make sure you stick to that 8.5 by 11 page size. I'm going to go ahead and select our test fax right here and click open. And that file is going to populate right here. The name of the document, though kind of faint, can be read right there, test fax PDF. It's also going to tell us the size. This one's 0.4 megabytes. Now we can send anything that's 20 megabytes and lower. If it is above that, you will have to divide that file into 2 separate files and send them individually. Once you verify everything on the screen is correct, you can go ahead and click on send. That's going to process the fax. You'll see that little load bar going across the screen there. You'll see it's processing complete, and then it's going to pop up right here in our window, just on top of the first fax that we saw a moment ago. And as you can see, we have the date, the time, the numbers involved, and the direction. Now our status here is saying queued because it is currently attempting to send that fax, as our status details show us here. We're still in our first attempt. Now chances are this is going to go through on the first attempt. Very rarely does it not. But here in a few minutes that will show completed, just like the one below it. And that's all there is to faxing using our Mango website. There is an additional way to send and receive faxes from an email address, and if you're interested in learning about that, check out our other YouTube video on faxing. Next up is the My Numbers tab. This is going to be a complete list of numbers associated with your account. Now, every number that you have will be here, and then you'll be able to change a little bit about what this number does. By clicking the edit button right here, we can of course change the name of that number. So if you want it to be something else, you can go ahead and just rename it right here. Now, you also have the ability to change the phone number's endpoint. The endpoint is where that call goes, what it does. So for example, this one goes to our switchboard 1000, meaning it's going to follow the call path that we've built at that switchboard. Alternatively, we can select a direct extension for it to go to, which is just going to ring George's phone here, 102. Nothing fancy, of course, will happen, just ring his phone and leave a message. Whereas a switchboard, we can completely configure that to do whatever we really want it to do. We can also select a fax machine, or a virtual fax machine as the case is, and we could select that, and then that is now a fax number. I'm going to go ahead and leave this number for our switchboard 1000 though. Then we're going to come to our switchboard, and we're going to come into switchboard 1000, and we're going to decide what that number does when we make that phone call. Now we can make this as easy or as complex as you want. Something easy, for example, so let's say we just want to ring the phones and leave a voicemail. Well, we have a couple of different ways we can do that, but the best way is to select transfer and continue. Now, anytime you see an object that says transfer, that means a phone is going to be ringing. So we're going to click this drop-down menu and pick which phone we want to ring. Now we can pick any one phone, or we can select a ring group. Those are usually going to be the 200 series, and you get to name that extension when you create it. A ring group will ring multiple phones in your office, so we can select all of those extensions, 100 through 104, and ring them all simultaneously. So we're going to go ahead and select that ring group. Now the timeout is how long that phone is going to ring, or phones are going to ring. We have it set to 20 here. Now this is in seconds. And we can increase or decrease this from 0 to 300. Now you're going to get one ring for every 5 seconds, provided that your phone is set to the default ringtone. Now this is going to give us 4 rings. That's more than enough in my opinion, so we're going to go ahead and just leave it at that. Then we want to go to voicemail, so we're going to click on Leave Voicemail. Now, the Leave Voicemail object is where your voicemails are going to be saved. And you can decide where they're going to be saved here by clicking that drop-down menu there and selecting any one extension for them to be saved at. Again, you can only pick one extension, or you can pick a shared voicemail. Now, shared voicemail is a little different. It's not saving to any one phone, making them a little harder to identify, but then any phone can access them relatively easily. Still access voicemails from any other phone if you were saving it to another phone. It's just slightly more complicated and takes a couple more steps. So pick whichever one you would like to use, ease of access or a more obvious notification. It's totally up to you. We can do both. Now I'm going to go ahead and just save it at Mango Tutorials extension 100. The message is going to be the greeting that is played for your callers when they get to that voicemail, asking them to leave the voicemail just before the tone. So all you have to do is click that drop-down menu and select the greeting you'd like to use. Now here's something that a lot of people probably don't know, is we work exclusively in the sound clip part of this drop-down menu. The legacy options do not work. Don't use those. Now the top 3 here are going to be different. No greeting, of course, is going to play no greeting. Find by extension is going to play whatever greeting that you have saved to the actual physical phone in the advanced options of your voicemail. And then the system generated greeting is going to tell you the extension that you're calling. So in this example, it'd be extension 100. It's going to say extension 100 is not available. Please leave a message. So sound clips is really where you're going to do all of your recording and use those for pretty much every option that we have in our switchboard. So right here, we're going to select Open Voicemail Greeting. Now, when you're setting up a switchboard, your objects are important, but you have to make sure that the lines are connected, because the call comes in, it follows that line. If the call line isn't connected, that call is going to have no idea where to go. Let's say we remove that. That call will have no idea where to go. So it's just going to bleed into the background, and that call is going to be lost. So to help prevent dropped calls, you want to make sure that every line is connected so that the calls go where they need to. Now in this particular scenario, a call is going to come in, it's going to ring your phones for 20 seconds and then go to voicemail. Extremely basic, something that you'd have set up at home. Now alternatively, we do have a lot of other objects that we can set up here. So we could have a schedule. This is going to filter calls based on business hours or any type of hours. We can set it up here so that when you're open, it rings your phones for 20 seconds. If no one can answer, it goes to voicemail. When you're closed, we could just have it go straight to voicemail. That way nothing is ringing. For holiday, if you're also going to be closed, you can just drop that off at the same place. You can connect any amount of lines to any drop that you'd like. So you don't have to worry about not sharing. Or we could get a little bit more advanced even. We could add an auto attendant. For example, we could add an auto attendant right here, and that's going to have a sound clip on it that plays as well. Fortunately, with our auto attendant here, it only gives you access to the sound clips. So we can go ahead and select auto attend. And what that sound clip there says is you can push 1 to leave a message, and we can add that option for 1. Or we can push 2 for something else, to be transferred to, let's say, an emergency doctor. Push 2 for the on-call doctor or emergency doctor. Then we set up an external transfer. Like all transfers, this is going to be ringing a phone, but it's going to be an external number. So we can put in our emergency doctor's phone number. Now, once that's in there, if they push 2, they're going to be forwarded to that number automatically. And then, of course, if they don't answer, we don't want that call to be lost. So with the external transfer, there are, of course, two options. You can have voicemails saved on the external transfer, or you can leave them in our system. To learn more about that, check out our call forwarding video. Of course, with timeout, that's if they don't make a selection here in 4 seconds. We can increase the timeout up to 20. So you can give them 20 seconds to push 1 or 2. I'm going to leave it at 4 because 4 is pretty generous. If they don't push anything after 4 seconds, they're going to follow that line, and I'm just going to send them straight to voicemail because that's where I want them to go. You don't have to follow my lines here. You can do whatever you want. On invalid, if they push, let's say 9, I don't have an option 9. I don't list it in the sound clip. They're going to follow this line, and I want them to go to leave me a voicemail if they push the wrong option too.
Then we have repeat. We can add up to 5 repeat times for that sound clip. So if it times out once, we can repeat those options. And it will repeat as many times as you've selected. I don't want any repeats though, so I'm going to leave it at 0.
Then our allow extension dialing. If you check this box here, someone will be able to dial any extension in your office to just call that number. This is ideally going to be used during the open hours, so if we had that placed on the open line instead, they could then dial any extension, 100 through 104, and call that phone directly. So if you want to call someone particular, then you just dial their number, and it's going to follow through. If that is unchecked, they will not be able to dial any extension. And they'll have to use the options that you've listed out for them. Once your switchboard looks satisfactory and you're confident in it, you'll click Save in the top right-hand corner to make sure that that gets saved. Then, of course, you can make a couple of phone calls and test it, see how it works out. So just kind of a brief overview of these objects, as these are the most popular ones used. The schedule will filter your calls based on the hours that we have set up. I will show you how to do that in this video. We also have another video labeled Schedule in our YouTube channel if you'd like to just view that. Now, if it's open, then it's going to come to the transfer and continue, which we can select to ring either one phone in the office or a ring group, which will ring up to as many phones as you have selected in that ring group. Timeout is how long those phones are going to ring in seconds. Voicemail is where those voicemails are going to be left. You can select where they're going to be saved by clicking that drop-down menu and picking where you want them saved. The message is going to be the greeting that is played for your caller when they go to leave that message just before the tone. The auto attendant gives the caller the opportunity to push several options that you have listed out for them in a sound clip. You do need that sound clip in there to inform them of what those instructions are. Push 1 to leave a message, push 2 for the on-call doctor. If they push 1, they will of course come up here and leave a message. If they push 2, they will be forwarded to the doctor on call's private cell phone number or emergency number, whatever number you'd like. It's going to time out at 30 seconds, so it'll ring for 30 seconds. If someone can't answer within 30 seconds, the call will continue to our leave voicemail object here, which we are going to save at the same place, and our greeting is going to be emergency voicemail greeting there instead. We'll click save, and we're good to go. And our next step is going to be the sound clip menu. So we're going to go ahead and click the back button next to save and bring us back to our admin website. Then on the left-hand side, we'll find the tab that says sound clips, and we'll click on that. Now right here is the list of sound clips that are going to be played in your switchboard. For example, the very bottom one says open VM. That means voicemail. That is our open voicemail greeting. That plays whenever they would go to the voicemail option in our switchboard. They'd hear that greeting. The auto attendant, of course, is what I used to explain pushing 1 to leave a message and push 2 for the emergency doctor. So these are what are played when a caller gets to certain areas in your switchboard for voicemails or auto attendants or just standard call recording notifications. You can upload any sound clip that you would like as long as it's an MP3 or a WAV file. If you have one you pre-recorded with your computer or if you have them professionally done, such as a website like Fiverr, you can upload them by clicking on Upload Sound Clip. You'll then select the file by clicking Choose File here, and that's going to take you to your computer where you'll find the sound clips you want to upload. Just select the proper one, click open. You're going to need to name it, of course. You can name it whatever you want. I recommend the name being something that you'll be able to easily identify and put in the proper place, of course. Click Create Sound Clip when you're done, and that's going to populate right here with the rest of them. Alternatively, you can dial *99 from your Mango phone. By dialing *99, you're going to hear an automated message. You're going to want to follow her instructions. She's going to walk you through the whole process of recording your own right there on the phone with you. Once you save it, because she will ask you to do so, it's going to populate right here with the rest of the sound clips. However, when it does come through, the name is going to be a little strange, so you are going to want to click on the edit button here and have that named appropriately, so you can delete the name and type in a new one. Once you have the sound clips added here, you do have to go back into the switchboard and place them appropriately like I was showing you a few moments ago. Now, you can also add a feature code to a sound clip. All you got to do is click the edit button right here again, and we can assign feature code 100 to our auto attendant here. Let's go ahead and add that. Now, by dialing *100, I can re-record over the existing audio. Currently, it does say press 1 or continue to hold to leave a message, or press 2 for the on-call doctor. If I don't want it to say that anymore, I can dial *100, record some new audio, and just replace the audio present in this sound clip. Then I don't have to go in the switchboard and place a new sound clip there because it's already in place. I just changed the audio. You can also delete sound clips by clicking on the red X button right here. And then if you're not 100% sure what they say anymore, maybe it's been a while or you forgot to name it, you can click the play button here to listen to that audio clip, allowing you to identify what it is. Now, our next step is going to be the schedule tab. So we're going to click right there, and we're going to go ahead and enter our business hours. Now, if you recall the schedule object that I showed you in our switchboard portion of this video, this is where we adjust what hours and holidays calls are filtered via those particular lines. Right here is our list of holidays. You can easily select the ones that are empty by clicking on empty boxes and adding them to your holiday list. Alternatively, you can click on a checked one to remove it. And for any that are checked that are in your holiday list, they're going to be following this holiday line on your schedule in your switchboard. Now, we also have the ability to create a custom holiday. You can create a custom holiday for any day that you would like to close the office when you would normally be open. Even if you'd normally be closed, you can create one for then as well. So the example we have here is our conference, Friday, May 8th. We're going to be out of the office because we're going to be in a conference, so we're going to be closed when we would normally be open. So we create a custom holiday for that day, and then all calls are going to follow this line right here at the beginning of the day on that day. Now on to the actual business hours. If we scroll down, we see Sunday through Saturday with our available time slots. Now, the blue blocks are the open hours, and you can click on those blue blocks anywhere to shift them up and down or side to side, wherever you need to fit those. Then you can click on the bottom of them to stretch them out or shrink them, fitting any hour slot you could really possibly fill. You can even go through multiple days. If we make that exceptionally long and then do that, we cover the last half of this day and the beginning part of that day. And we can just make that normal again. Now, you can also create additional hours by clicking and dragging in any empty zone. By doing so, you're going to click the OK button, and it's going to add those hours that we just added. Then if we want to remove again, we can click X. It's going to ask us, are we sure? Click OK, and we are all set and done by removing that. Now, the blue blocks, these are going to filter your calls via that open line when you are open. And if you're closed, meaning that it is not a blue block area, it's the white spots, it's going to follow the closed line here. That is how the calls are going to be filtered by using your schedule. Next, we're going to head to our integrations tab. Now right here, you're going to need to call MangoVoice in order to get this enabled. The Learn More button isn't available unless integrations are enabled on your account, and that is something you will have to contact Mango for. Once they are enabled, you will just need to contact your integration company, be it Legwork, Flex, Modento, Yappy, XLDent, and just let them know that you are ready to begin that integration process, and they will take the wheel from there. Now, Yappy does require one extra step. They're going to need an authorization key. Again, you will will need to contact Mango before you can get that yourself. And you can easily locate that key by clicking on this plus button here next to integrations and then clicking on authorization. And the key is going to be right here for you. You can copy it to your clipboard by clicking on this object right here to the right, and that'll copy it to your clipboard, and then you can paste it in an email to Yappy or wherever they happen to need it. Now again, Yappy knows how to do this and where to find that, so chances of you needing to know where that is unlikely, but now you know. Next, we're going to be heading to the My Devices page. So we're going to click on My Devices right here. And this is going to take you to a list of phones associated with your account. To enter that phone, all you got to do is click on the orange name. And then the reason we're here is for the line and button options. The rest of this information on the page is for our use. Please don't interfere with any of that. The lines and buttons, however, is where you can set up the buttons on your phone on the left and right of your screen, or if you have a T48 like this phone is here, they'll be on the left and right as well, but you'll have an option to put them on your entire screen. Now, these buttons can do a variety of things. The first one is going to be line. This is always going to be line. That is what allows your phone to operate. Please do not take this or change this in any way, as it will bring the phone down, and you'll have to contact Mango in order to repair it. And that's your line 1. So every call that comes in, if this phone is supposed to ring, it'll ring on line 1. Rollover is your line 2. And if you want additional lines, you can add additional rollovers in these blank zones. Now, for every rollover you have, you are going to have that extra line, so you can get more calls on this device. Now, lines are independent from each other. Every phone is going to have its own lines, and while they might ring simultaneously when a call comes in, line 1 on this phone is not connected to another line 1 on any other phone. They are independent. Now, because they're independent, if you use the hold button on a phone, it is going to place that call on hold inside the line in which you are communicating with that person. So if you're on line 1 and you push hold, they are now on hold on line 1. No one else is going to be able to pick up that call on hold except for the phone that placed it on hold. Now, the parking lots are slightly different. They're also a hold option. Now, they're going to be on the left side of your phone as well, or right, depending on the button slot that we occupy. With the park function, if you place someone in the parking lot by pushing P1, that's going to put them on hold. It's no different than a normal hold. But that is what is shared between all of the phones in your office. Every phone will likely have access to the park function with a button on the left and right side of your screen. You can remove these, but they do come preset for you with Park 1 and Park 2. So by pushing Park 1, they go on hold, and then you can push Park 1 again to pick them up off of hold, but you can do so on any other device in your office, making it really easy to transfer calls from one device to another. We also have what we call presence options. Now, a presence option is going to let you select another device in your office to use as a speed dial, so to speak, making it really easy for internal calling. You can also transfer calls with this button. If you hit the transfer button followed by the button listed as Mango Tutorials on the side of your phone, you'll be able to transfer calls to that. There are two different methods, a blind transfer and attended transfer, or warm transfer as some like to call it. The blind transfer is just transfer button, Mango Tutorials button, transfer button. That's going to send the call to that other phone. Now, a warm transfer is a little different. That's where you're going to speak to the person you're transferring the call to first to let them know you're transferring them a call. And in that scenario, you're just going to hit the transfer button and then the Mango Tutorial button. Now, the Mango Tutorial button can be a different name depending on your phone, of course. It won't be Mango Tutorials. Now, we can also add a speed dial. A speed dial is just going to add that button so you can quick call the number that we place here. So we're going to go ahead and put a phone number here, and then we're going to label that Mango Support. So now I have a button on my phone that if I push that, it's going to call the number that I have listed there. I don't have to worry about dialing it or anything like that. Now, what's actually really cool with the speed dial function and Mango is you can transfer calls to a phone number. So if you have someone's phone number here in your office and they're not in the office, but they want you to transfer them that call, if you hit the transfer button followed by that speed dial button, it's going to transfer the call to that phone. Alternatively, you can dial the phone number as well, but the speed dial makes it a little easier. Now, once you're all done making those changes, you will need to click Update Device. Once you click Update Device, it's going to create what's called a configuration file for the phone. Now, the phone does need to be rebooted to obtain that new configuration file, giving you access to those buttons. Now, to reboot the phone, all you have to do is unplug it from power and internet for approximately 5 seconds and then plug it back in. Now, you only need to reboot if you need those buttons available right then and there or sometime that day. The buttons themselves will show up the following day because the phone will know it needs to reboot after you click Update. So it's going to reboot itself at about midnight your time, and then those buttons will be available for you the next day. And that's pretty much everything I want to show you here today. I know there are some settings that you guys probably have some questions about, and those settings are going to be addressed in our more advanced onboarding video. So please check that out when you have some time. Thank you for joining me today with this basic onboarding for our Mango system.